Hello, I'm David from Metal Wani. Today we are joined by Daniel Finch. Thanks for joining us today, Daniel. How are you doing?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, very, very good. So you're currently working on a multitude of projects. Most recently, you've left your band that you created, Devilment. Could you shed a bit more light onto the situation at the moment?
I have to be careful what I say.
Yes.
I think is the right way to go with this. Basically, I'd started that band from the ground up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was like I wrote 70% of the album, got the band together. You know what I mean? Like put all the money in, and I always wanted it to be a band. And without naming names, somebody else wanted to do it their way.
Right, I understand. Yep.
You know, so I mean, it was a case of when it came to like. With the record deal and things like that, it was like I said, right from this point, everyone's going to get there's a 6-way split. You know, everyone's going to get the same money. I'm not going to take any more money for songwriting royalties or whatever. All I'll say is that with all that money and all that time that I put into it, I've walked away from that to kind of show how bad it got, and I'll never see a penny for any album sales or anything.
Right, I see. So, I mean, it mostly comes down to money and the way it's organised then that sort of caused these problems.
That's one way of looking at it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I hate money. When anything gets towards money, I don't like it.
No, absolutely. I play for a band myself, and I play for a band myself and everything.
I do music. I don't do it for money or fame.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think those guys do.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah. I think I understand. So, but was this directly after the tour with Motionless in White and Lacuna Coil then that there was sort of coming out?
Pretty much. I mean, we got back on the Monday. I was straight back at work Tuesday morning. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Tuesday afternoon, we got into some email discussions, and I just said, you know what, guys, fuck this, I'm out. So.
Yeah, fair play, man. Like, if you can walk out with your head held high, that's absolutely.
Well, that was the thing. I was, before the tour, I was really unhappy before the tour anyway, with the way things were going.
Yeah.
And it was suggested to me that if I wasn't happy, that I could fuck off. So I did.
Well, yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. If the business isn't really working properly or fairly, then what choice do you really have unless you're just going to be making crap music and be unhappy the whole time?
Mm.
So, I mean, I've heard that you were currently writing a follow-up album to The Great Secret Show, but I hear that you're now planning on doing something new with these ideas that you were working on.
Well, that was the thing. I mean, I was sort of dreading having to start another album. Do you know what I mean?
No, absolutely.
I spent the 3 years of my life sort of doing The Great and Secret Show or whatever, and it was kind of like before the tour, I was thinking, I've got to come back from tour, and I've got to start an album, and I've got to do this and do that. And then, just kind of obviously did the tour and forgot all about it, left the band or whatever. And it was last week I was just basically going through some old demos and things that I'd written, like sort of after we finished recording The Great and Secret Show and before the tour. We'd had 3 months off and I was just writing like stuff. And I forgot all about it.
Yeah.
I was 21 songs then. And I was like, shit, I actually did pretty much finish the album.
So is this something you've
just leaving it and never doing anything with it?
No,
I'll get a new band together and let's put this thing out. And I've got a really strong band in. I've got Mark Holland, who was in 13 Candles with me. He's going to be doing all the orchestration because he kind of does sort of movie soundtrack stuff now.
Okay, yeah.
I got Simon Dawson back, who was in Devilment originally.
Yes.
He now plays for Steve Harris's British Lion. He's doing the drums. I got one of my old friends, a guy called Paul Jensen, who. We'd been songwriting together. We were like songwriting partners back in like '95 and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So he's sort of coming into kind of.
So it sounds like you're moving forward into this project quite strongly then, in quite a comfortable way.
Sorry, say again.
It sounds like you're moving forward into this new project with quite a strong kind of group of people then around you. If you've got people you've been writing with previously in '95.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been lucky. I mean, I've always had a good sort of group of people around me, all my sort of musical life or whatever, 20 years, whatever it is. And it's always, every time I do a new band, there's a set number of people I always call, like Kev Jackson, who's in Synaptic now. He played originally in Devilment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was like, I need a bass player. I phoned Kev, I'm doing this new band called Devilment. Do you want to be the bass player? He's like, yeah. And I get back from Devilment, and the first person on the phone is him.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what have you got any
ideas? It's just like, always doing something there.
What was that, sorry? Hello?
I've lost you. I lost you then.
Oh, sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's probably my computer. She probably cheaped out a little bit.
All right.
So with all this going on, have you got any ideas for band names or anything at the moment?
No, not yet. Probably Defilement or something like that, I guess. I mean, band names is always one of those things that's really difficult,
Yeah, definitely. Trying to encapsulate that whole sound that you've been working on for however long into one band name that can sort of make or break you sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, something will sort of, come.
I think as long as you don't go for Lost Profits Part 2 or anything like that, you should probably be all right. Well, actually, unless that is unless that's what you want to go for. But I've also heard that you might be looking to release.
Jimmy Savile stuff like that.
And the Saddles. Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
But I hear you're maybe looking to put this album out online for free. Is that the case?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, I have got 2 record labels that are sort of looking, that one of them showed interest originally in Devilment.
Okay.
And they're kind of keen to sort of have first dibs on it.
Okay, and is that something you're keen then moving forward with?
Absolutely, because I think as much as it's not about money, it kind of is.
Well, it has to be to some.
I can only, spend so much money on recording a record. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely,
when a company comes along, they've got a budget. They can give you, $10,000 or something, and you can get a decent studio, a good producer, and all that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, obviously, if a record company, wants to kind of do that, that'd be great.
Yes.
Because you're going to get a better sounding product, an album, whatever, so...
Well, I guess you can just do what you do best, which is doing the music side of it, rather than, having to get into, the business side a little bit more, which I can imagine is...
We've all got our own sort of little home studios, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So is that where most of your ideas have come from?
It's all done... Actually sitting in my home studio just messing around, the same as how the Great and Secret Show was done, it's how this album's done, it's how all the, any projects I do now are done that way, just literally sitting there, messing around with Logic and Pro Tools and things and, and sort of creating these weird and wonderful ideas.
Indeed, yeah. So I've also, you've also started, basically resurrected a couple of old bands, haven't you, at the moment? Your old band, Twisted Autumn Darkness, who released Destroy the Bastard Trinity in 2004. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? What's the inspiration to go back and revisit sort of something from your past a bit more?
The long story of it was just after I came out of Devilment, I was obviously very much like, why did I do music in the first place? And I kind of went on this sort of mental journey in my head. It was like, why do I do this? What did I like about music? And weirdly, at the same time, I'd met up with the drummer, Dan, who lives in Norway now, and he was back for Christmas.
Yeah.
So him and the guitar player, Ian, came over to my house, we had a few beers, and we were kind of reminiscing about the old days, about, Twisted, and just sort of sharing all these ridiculous, funny stories.
Yeah, man.
And 2 days later, we were in a rehearsal room, just basically jamming through the album. And it'd been 10 years or something.
Yeah.
And we could still play it. And it's like, this is strange. And then we ended up writing 2 new songs. So we were kind of like, let's do something. I mean, they're all incredibly busy. Ian plays in a band called Synaptic.
Yeah.
And Dan's in who's he in now? The Third Attempt for Tid, and he's also in a band called Denzel Carter. And it's like, so he's super, super busy. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of like, let's just write over the internet, go back and forth. When he comes back to England to see his family, we'll get together and we'll jam. And that's the kind of idea of it. And the idea eventually is to, maybe get something out and maybe do some live shows. Probably not this year, maybe next year, so... Because it was always fun doing.
Yeah, I was going to say. So that's I can imagine after how you're describing Devilment and coming out of big even more corporate European tours and with certain bands and stuff. That to actually just get into a room and have a few beers with some mates and play some music is it must be such a relief in a way. Cut down the stress and actually enjoying. That's
why, David. That's why I do it. Do you know what I mean? It's all about that kind of brotherhood in that kind of community or whatever. It's all about the grassroots stuff. It's all about, you know, some friends getting in the rehearsal room and making a fucking racket. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? If that's
Yeah,
what
well,
it's about,
yeah,
it's not about money or ego.
exactly.
You know?
Yeah, you can't breed that brotherhood of metal and just really going for it and stuff. So could you also tell us? You've also started another new band called Silence Between as well. Could you tell me a little bit more about that?
That was like the first thing that I started to write. I wanted to start writing again, and straight after Devilment, and it was like, let's just go in with no ideas. Let's just do something fresh, and it kind of sort of built itself really quickly. And I'd had a couple of jams with some people at the same sort of time, just to kind of feel out some people that I never worked with before, and to see if I want to work with those guys or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just like a really heavy, sort of nasty metal groove band.
You know
what I mean? It's very sort of Fear Factory with Sugar in places.
Very nice.
But we're sort of, I think we're like 7 or 8 songs now. We've sort of nailed that down to about 4. And the plan there again is to get in and get a demo done, and also get that submitted to rail companies to, for a possible album release. But that will probably never play live with that. I mean,
so that's more of a studio project you've got going on there then? Well,
yeah, that's the same with all of it, really. I mean,
yeah,
I don't like doing live shows. I mean, doing a whole European tour, as cool as that was, and as great as it is to meet people and play some good shows or whatever, I kind of realised how much time you waste rehearsing for a live show. Do you know what I mean?
Okay,
like you spend 6 months for it, and then you end up playing in front of 10 people.
And you've still got
like that. And I just think I'd rather spend my time writing and recording than I would rehearsing for live. So.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. I mean, and as well, if you're on tour for a couple of weeks, you've still got 22 hours in a day that you've got to occupy yourself for and such.
Oh, I was busy every day.
Oh, yeah, you get it filling in those.
When they didn't work.
I see. But so does that mean are you a bit more of a studio hand then? Do you prefer actually working indoors? Because I know you work for a loop company, don't you? You're a sound designer as well.
Yeah, I've done some loop stuff, in the past. I mean, I don't do much of it now.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I do this, like, curating, I think, is the way I like to do music. It's like to just fiddle around and play about,
Yeah.
And it's also like that relaxed atmosphere now where, when you're in a rehearsal room trying to write with people, it's difficult because you're trying to shout over someone,
Yeah.
The guitar amp hissing or they're trying
I know, as well. Organised creativity cannot always be the best thing for the creative process, really. Anyway.
No. I remember when I was at college, when I was like 17, and sort of Cubase and all these kind of the computer-based software came out, and I hated it. I was like, this is shit. Like this is how you write music. You go to a rehearsal and you play really fucking loud, And now it's lovely to sit there with a cup of tea and a guitar.
Yeah, a bit of easy drummer, just changing your riffs around. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I like to do as well. So, how are you finding time to actually organise yourself and handle all these sort of projects at the moment? Is that something you're finding difficult, or is it just everything?
No, literally, as I say, I'm like, I'm sitting in here now. I'm in my sort of front room, and my sort of studio's over to one side, and it's like, it's like I can sit and watch a bit of TV or play Candy Crush or something like that. And then I can go and do an hour. You know what I mean? I can just kind of do stuff when I want, and there's no kind of time limit on things. It's as I feel like doing it. Do you know what I mean? I'm not under with Devilment, it was very much about things have to get done.
Yes.
And that pressure comes in. I think when that pressure comes in, it takes away from sort of the natural flow of creating music without sounding too
man.
Whatever.
Yeah, no, definitely. But as well, you've not just been writing music. I've been reading recently. You're currently writing a book as well, aren't you?
Yeah, it's called Death to Music, and it just came out of the whole Devilment thing because I'd done a sort of blog during the tour that quite a few people commented and they said it was really cool and were following, and it was my boss at work when I went back to work and I said, I've left the band now, and he said, you should write a fucking book, dude. Like, your career has been disastrous, and it was like, what, I'm sort of beginning to, some years are kind of moulding into each other, and I'm kind of forgetting when things happened and who was in the band at that point or whatever.
That's all part of the metal lifestyle, surely.
Sorry?
I said that's all part of the metal lifestyle, surely, just sort of having a few blank periods and days moulding in.
There was a very long blank period, yeah, in the mid-2000s. But, you know, there's some funny stuff. It's not negative, you know what I mean? It's not like one of these books that's going to be like a News of the World special. There's all going to be kiss and tell and who ripped off who and all that kind of stuff. It's more about, like, just my kind of journey from, you know, the first time picking a guitar up to, you know, doing a European tour, and it kind of finishes at the end of that European tour, you know. So
is it all just your sort of thoughts on how, like, what more the music scene or the music business has evolved?
It's a bit of everything. I mean, it kind of, the way I've done it is each chapter sort of deals with a band. So we'll go for my first, you know, high school band. But during each chapter, it will sort of jump back to something in my childhood.
Okay. Was sort of, you know, okay. Like sort of
the older you get, the kind of, well, just like kind of, when the older you get, the kind of more things you realise about yourself. And you kind of think, why do I do that? Why do I behave a certain way? And then you sort of realise a lot of it comes from your childhood.
Okay.
You know, not necessarily like, you know, bad things, but, you
yes,
know, like,
So you've managed to understand a little bit. So it's almost a little bit about understanding yourself in a way.
Yeah,
you know,
but also understanding the music and understanding the need to do it or the not need to do it.
So could you give any more sort of thoughts on that then? What would you say is your need for music? What would you say?
Well, I think, you know, for the last 20 years, the need was to get an album out. The need was to do a European tour or a tour.
Yeah.
And I've done that. And then you kind of, you know, sometimes your dreams aren't always what you think they're going to be. Sometimes the sort of anticipation of it is more fun than the actual doing of it.
No, absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when I left the band, a lot of people said, well, you're an idiot. You had it made. You know, you had this, you had that. I was like, well, not being funny. I've got my album. I've got my gatefold vinyl, and I did a tour.
Yeah.
What else do I do now? The same again.
No, I mean,
do you know what I mean? It's like, it's all about, I think life's all about firsts as well. It's like the first time you heard Iron Maiden, the first time you heard, you know, Metallica or something. It was so exciting.
Yes, so well, it's quite what you're sort of describing to me. What you're sort of describing to me is quite like a dignified understanding of yourself, really, in the music scene. I mean, if you're not liking it, what the hell is the point of going out onto that next tour? I mean, you're supposed to just sort of fake it and like smile for another however long or whatever. So
that's what a lot of bands do. I mean, how many bands out there, signed bands right now, are doing it just to be in a cool band?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
and their integrity and their kind of respect is gone. And
yes,
and it works both ways. The fans don't respect them as much as they. You know, and I know guys in bands who don't give a fuck about the fans, even though they should.
Mm.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean, one example I give is, you know, Cannibal Corpse. The reason that band is so successful is because they will come out after the show and they will spend 2, 3, 4, 5 hours talking to fans.
I think that's almost something that, you know, even like as much as I don't want to say, being like social media, I think it's really sort of changed things in the last few years. Of this, you know, even people, you know, I follow before he stopped posting like James Hetfield on Instagram, you know, and that's weird, you know. That's although he sort of was kind of posted like he was a 16-year-old girl, it's still like nice to have a little bit more like fan involvement, or even on like Facebook and stuff. It's great to be able to like speak to musicians or them have their like stream on things and their thoughts, and very much like yourself, like writing blogs and being able to actually talk to your fans and stuff. And I think it's nice to have that dissolve really between, you know, fans and bands, and, you know, because ultimately, you know, we're all fans of music at the end of the day, whether you're in Iron Maiden or whether you're starting out your first band or whether you're just a 10-year-old with headphones on. So I mean, I completely understand where you're coming from.
But that's the point. I think I don't know whether it's the musicians themselves, but people forget where they come from. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's a lot of sort of bands that, like, you know, trying to get back to their roots. Like Machine Head recently did that tour. Last year did that club tour. And that's great.
Yeah.
You know, but there's definitely a few bands out there that forget where they come from.
Yeah, totally.
Where their money's coming from to keep them not having to work a full-time job. I mean, there's a lot of bands, you know, friends of mine who are musicians in bands that still work a day job.
No, absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? And still do tours. And
I was reading...
saying to me, fuck, you must be getting so much money from DEVILMENT. It's like, no. I've never seen a penny, and that's the truth.
But I remember reading an interview with the drummer from Dying Fetus talking about exactly the same thing, but I totally respect that. You know, it definitely comes down to more again, being about the music rather than selling out to a different group of people that don't make you happy and just ultimately make you miserable.
Absolutely. I think that's the thing. I think now as well, with the internet, it's a blessing, and it's a blessing as much as it's a curse. I mean, I remember, when I first started in bands, you had to physically get out there and shove flyers in people's hands. Do you know what I mean? You had to make up 100 cassette tapes, photocopied covers, and give them to people at gigs.
Yeah.
But now you go online, you post a song, and you invite all your friends to go and like it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it.
You do it in like 10 minutes, and you go, oh, that's that bit done. But I was physically sitting there, handwriting out, letters and putting first-class stamps on to send out to our mailing list in 13 candles. And it costs a small fortune.
Yeah.
And all that, you kind of miss that. I miss kind of getting letters from the door now. We used to get flyers. I used to get a pack of flyers come through.
Yeah, man. Yeah, totally.
Stopped,
Yeah, totally. Well, I suppose there's sort of positives and negatives on both sides, isn't there? But I suppose that's kind of leaning into the thing of things not really existing anymore, and the same thing with sort of CDs disappearing and stuff like that. I'm definitely something that I think I'm going to feel a bit down about in 10 years' time or something. Telling people about going to H&B and getting a CD.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's like my local town. There used to be 7 record shops here. And you could start one. We used to start on a Saturday morning about 10 o'clock. We'd start in the little records exchange in Mart, and we'd walk down all 7 record shops. We'd have like 30 or 40 quid on us. We'd buy a bunch of second-hand vinyl or whatever, stop for coffee or a McDonald's or something halfway through. And that used to be a whole Saturday doing that. You'd then go home Saturday night and you'd play your purchases from the day, and you discovered all kinds of stuff. I remember buying Sepultura by accident. Else, because I was too excited. I was like, wow, there's always cheap vinyl, £2. And it's just amazing. But that's gone now. You sit on Amazon now and just flip through and go, oh, what's coming out?
Yeah, definitely lost something then. I'd just like to ask you one final question, if that's all right, Daniel.
Sure.
What would be your advice to musicians starting out now, with all that you've said to me?
Work hard and be true to yourself, and be true to the people that are in the band with you. Don't do it for ego, don't do it for money, because neither of those are going to bring you any satisfaction at all. The only thing that's going to be satisfying to you would be the music that you're writing, whether that gets put out by a major record label, or whether you put that out on a burnt CD from your fucking hard drive. The satisfaction comes from what you've created, not what you think you're going to earn from it. I certainly did bands to try and get laid, and I was always pretty shit at that. So that's my advice: is just be true to yourself, and regardless what and listen to what people say. You are going to get your trolls that are just going to go, it's shit. But just be true. And listen to what people say to you as well. I ignored a lot of advice early on because of my own arrogance, but people are right. People can watch bands and go, do you know what? That singer isn't right, or that drummer isn't the right person for your band. The music you're doing isn't quite right. And as well, be true. If you can do something like some really fast, obscure, extreme metal, don't expect it to be played on the top of the
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Bands, if they're going to earn £1 million fucking pounds from their band, it's like you're doing, an underground style of music.
Yeah, melodic gentcore or something. Brilliant, yeah. No, Daniel, that's really great, man. Thank you very much for all that information.
Thank you very much. Cheers for doing your research as well.
Yeah, no worries at all, man.